Good evening, everyone. Doing a quick sound check, but also thank you for being here.
You're loud and clear, Ms. Bowles.
Good evening, Ms. Bowles. How you doing?
Doing well.
Jasmine Bowles, how you doing?
I am well, in great company today. So thank you. All right, Dr. Carter, what do you say we get started? Are we good to go?
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jasmine Bowles, and I'm so glad to be with you this afternoon. We are going to do one of the first of many community meetings. We've been doing this, informally on social media, and so we're really excited to collaborate with the actual minds and hands getting this work done. So thank you for being here. And that's my quick intro. I won't belabor the point before I bring on some of the incredible guests I have. So today you get to hear from some of our incredible principals, Mr. Jordan and Mr. Townsend. Thank you for being here. We also have Dr. Collier with some COVID and vaccine updates. I want to shout out the board chair who's hanging out with us, and also our deputy superintendent, Dr. Simpson. I'm looking at other folks joining us today, and we are just happy to have all of you. I also see Dr. Carter, our board liaison, and thanks again. So I guess we can go ahead and dive in and get started. Again, the goal here is to create space to hear your voices and answer some of your questions. So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and my vision for our district and our work, and then we'll just go straight into the meat of it all. So these are some of the schools that we support in District 1. And if you see your school, amazing. If you don't see your school, you're still mine. So I'm here for all of the residents and scholars and families in Clayton County. And these are some of the schools in my district where I live. All right. So, when it comes to a vision, I was asked about my vision for District 1, and I had a hard time thinking about a District 1 vision because the vision I have for District 1 is the same for the whole county. And so just throughout my leadership, I hope this is true for every school. But throughout my leadership, I get the opportunity to dive into policies. And so every time I look at policies, I'm looking at how we can make them more equitable. And I am also responsible for finance and budget. So when I'm looking at our finance, I'm looking at, again, how to make our budget more equitable. And one of the places that I find that that's possible is in our procurement processes. So I'm always conscious about making sure we get more Black, brown, women, and veteran businesses into the doors of procurement at Clayton County. I'm also really passionate about student voice. So when it comes to making sure we don't have top-down decision-making, but that we're inclusive. So one of my ultimate goals and dreams is to see a student on the school board here at Clayton County Public Schools one day. And I will continue to work toward that and making sure we lift opportunities for scholars to learn about their role in governance. I'm a fan of all things innovation. And so that is kind of a big dream, but I want to see more green initiatives at Clayton County Public Schools. I want to see us expand on the Black Lives Matter resolution from earlier this year by adding all types of ways for minority representation throughout all subjects and curriculum. I'm excited to see us continue to lean into new industries like AI and automation and just rethinking school in general. And so really excited about all things innovation and sound governance. is also one of my passions. And so making sure that our board and practices and all of that is such that is structured so that the board can help learn, lead, and focus and prioritize. So want to see some committees created that get to focus on some of the things to streamline our intentions and priorities. So that's a little bit about my big ideas for our district throughout my leadership, and I appreciate y'all indulging me on that. And the other thing I'd like to say is part of this voice element when it comes to being an inclusive leader is about creating spaces for our constituents, people like you, if you're watching. And so as the new year starts, we're seeking nominations for folks to join the District 1 Advisory Council. This is all hands on deck, no exclusions. If you're a scholar, I want to hear from you. If you're a parent, I want to hear from you. If you are a staff member, a principal, a community member, an alumni, any of it, we want to hear your voice and have you at the table. So you can see here on the screen one of the ways to get involved, and I'll be sure that I post this information as well beyond your screen so that it's clickable. So follow me on the Facebook page at JBO for Clayco, and same thing on Instagram so that we can make sure you have hyperlinks to click if you're interested. All right, this is the fun part. I would love to hear our principals. You have my permission to brag on yourself. Please, please, please brag on yourself. So I'm gonna pass the microphone. I'm sorry, I'm biased. We gotta start with the Wildcats. We're gonna go to Mr. Jordan, please. And then I look forward to hearing about what's going on at Mondays Mill Community.
That's right, that's right, Ms. Bowles, you give it to the rookie.
Fair.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Rodney Jordan, and I am the proud and new principal of Lovejoy High School. I count it an honor and privilege to be the principal of a school with such rich tradition and school spirit. We've got some wonderful things going on. I don't want to really talk about myself, but I just want to talk about what we have going on at Lovejoy. We've got some great things going on. Obviously, we all know that the hot topic right now is the unfortunate circumstance of global pandemic COVID-19. However, in spite of that circumstance, I do believe that there are many learning opportunities that our students can glean from to become better scholars. And one of the things that we were able to do here at Lovejoy that I'm extremely proud of and excited about is we were able to partner with an individual by the name of Dr. Emmer Gluck, who is the professor and director of the Morehouse School of Medicine. So we did a Q&A this week that was awesome on COVID-19, the effects, the origins, the vaccines, just anything and everything that you could think of as it relates to COVID-19. Even touched on the politics of it behind it a little bit, and it was just such an awesome opportunity to present information in such a concise way to our community and especially to our students, because it gave us an opportunity rather to put our students in a position to where they could come to their own educated conclusions. When you look at YouTube and you look at the internet and you look at the social media, you have, obviously pro-vaxxers and anti-vaxxers. And we wanted to create a situation where our students obviously know that they have the right to do whatever it is that they feel is in the best interest of themselves along with their parents. However, we wanted to take this opportunity to really help them to improve their analytical skills, their thinking skills, and their ability to look at and judge research validity. And what better way to do that than talking about the pandemic? So we, through this process, have been able to establish a partnership with the Morehouse School of Medicine, which not only could help educate our students, but also help create opportunities for them in the future. So now, not only are they talking about COVID-19, but they're also asking questions about, becoming doctors, becoming nurses, becoming physician assistants, becoming therapists. Sports medicine is really creating an awesome dialogue, and really helping our students answer some questions about their future. So I'm very excited about that partnership with Morehouse School of Medicine. Had a great situation happen today. I told Ms. Harper, it pays to go to church. I am a church going man, and I was coming up when I found out that I was going to be the principal here. I was trying to figure out which route I was going to take, and I came up off American Legion Way, made a left on the Terra, and I passed this place called Turning Point Church. So, hey, I'm the new principal at Lovejoy. So, hey, let me drop in and pay a visit to Turning Point Church, because we're always looking for partnerships and always looking for ways, to really partner with our community. Went to Turning Point Church. There was a drawing. Guess who came and dropped off a $4,000 check today, y'all?
Whoa, amazing. Congratulations.
I said, I knew the Lord put that in my spirit for a reason. I'm kidding, but we were able to officially get that partnership as well with Turning Point Church. So there's going to be some awesome community outreach going on there. One of the things that I want to really impress upon our students is the importance, like my father gave to me, the importance of helping those that are less fortunate than you. So that's going to be a great avenue that we're going to be able to do that through. On 8/25 next Wednesday, springboarding off of that partnership with Morehouse School of Medicine, we are having I'm calling it a vaccine party, but all of the Lovejoy High School athletes are going to get vaccinated. We sent out our parent notices. We've got over 95% back. So I believe by next week, we're going to be able to say that every single Lovejoy High School athlete should be vaccinated by next Wednesday, August the 25th. So that's awesome. I'm not even going to talk to Mr. Townsend right now because tomorrow on 8/20, we do have the rivalry game against Monday's Mill, and you already know what's going down, Mr. Townsend. So we have that this Friday. And then if there are any parents of Lovejoy High School students, I have created the Lovejoy High School Principals Advisory Board. I sent those applications out on yesterday, and that is just by creation to allow student voice, choice, and ownership in the direction of Lovejoy High School. This school will not be an adult dictatorship. We want to know what our students are thinking. We want them to have ownership. We want them to have input into the processes and the direction as we continue to go to the top at Lovejoy. So the deadline for those applications is Thursday, August 26th. I'm looking for one male and female from each grade level 9 through 12. And all I have to say is this: if your son or daughter is a 12th grader and they are one of my principal advisory boards member, I'm just gonna say, we're gonna bless them real good during graduation. They're gonna have a big smile across their face. So remember that Principals Advisory Board selection deadline is next Thursday. At the top of the month, September, we want to kind of get through the month of August. We're going to kick off with our school council official elections. So please, please, please apply. We would love to get some great involvement from our parents and our community. And then also at the top of the month, we're going to kick off with our PTA officials elections as well. So that's what we have going on at Lovejoy High School. And in spite of COVID-19, we are going to make this an awesome year.
What a robust and incredible update, Mr. Jordan. Thank you so much, and congratulations on a strong start to the new year. I'm excited to pass the microphone. Go ahead, Mr. Townsend. Tell us about the Tigers. You're muted, but it's going to be good. I already know.
Well, Mr. Jordan, I've been part of this Big Cat Classic for a few years now, and when I got to Monday's Mill, it was called the world famous Monday's Mill. And my first question to the staff was, why are we world famous? But being there over the last 3 years, I realized we're world famous because of the efforts and what our community brings. It's an unbelievable community that stands steadfast towards our school and believes in what we're trying to do there at Monday's Mill. We're off to an outstanding great start. We continue to give our students a great opportunity to learn, regardless of the circumstances that we are in. Last week, we were able to offer the vaccination to our students, and not the vaccination, testing to our students and our staff, and we tested over 250 members of our school and community, and I think that was a great opportunity for our community, and I'm looking forward to continuing that, and I'm sure Dr. Collins is going to speak to you all later, but the vaccination will be offered at Monday's Mill High School this Saturday. I'm looking forward to that being able to be given to our community because it's something that we need. Ms. Bowles, I love you saying student voice. I truly believe that in education, our students are the most underused resource we have. We are developing so many leadership opportunities at Monday's Mill for our students. As you said, Mr. Jordan, same thing at Monday's Mill High School. we're student led. Our students need what we're trying to do because it's their school. Without them, we have no job. So I'm so appreciative of what our students are doing at Mundy's Mill High School. I'm looking forward to sharing the battlefield with you on tomorrow. We have our standing understanding about the final score of that game, but it's been a great year, guys. I'm thankful to all the support that we're getting from the central office, from the district office, from our board members, and I'm very grateful to be a part of this today.
Thank you so much for those updates. I think you both have made it clear why we wanted you here in the first place. We have board meetings, and that happens on, the virtual TV, and some folks who can get in, and we hear from our administration, and they are kicking butt. But we don't hear enough from those who are most proximate to those who we serve. That includes you, our school leaders, and I think you're right. It also includes our scholars. So I'm loving the synergy between the vision at the board level and what's happening at the school site level, knowing that we all prioritize student and family voices. Thank you so much for that, and I hope you stick around in case folks have questions for you, and I hope you come back when we do this again. All right, so now let's go ahead and hear from the incredible Dr. Collier, who's doing some work in the space of vaccines. And sorry, I don't know if you guys hear my dog behind. He just is saying hi. That's the distraction. But Dr. Collier, please jump in and tell us how and what our district is doing in the midst of really tough times for everybody. How are we making it happen?
Well, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. And the leaders for the Big Cat Classic have truly led these key mitigation strategies for our school district. One with testing at Mundy's Mill High School, as Mr. Townsend indicated, over 200 people tested last week. And then yesterday I had the pleasure of sitting in on the conversation around the importance of the vaccine and removing hesitancy with the team at Lovejoy High School. And these are two key mitigation strategies that we are deploying in our district, is the vaccine and testing. And we want our community to understand and know the importance and the value behind this as we navigate these uncharted waters. And we can do it. We can keep our students in school. We can maintain high performance, but we've got to engage around these particular areas so that we can keep ourselves safe. It's more than just about keeping our students in school. It's about being safe. And we look forward to these opportunities. We hope that you, our community, our stakeholders, will be a part of these opportunities, because the vaccine is available to our middle and high school students. And we know that of the cases that of hospitalization, it is among those individuals that are unvaccinated. And we want to ensure that our children get the vaccine so that they can be healthy. And we have this week for the Big Cat Classic a limit on seating capacity, 50%. And if we get the vaccine, we can get back to 100%. And we all enjoy football, especially in the state of Georgia, and we enjoy athletics as a whole. But the only way we're going to get back to full capacity is that we get the vaccine, we look at testing, and we participate in testing opportunities. So, as Mr. Townsend indicated, on this coming Saturday, we have the vaccine that will be available at Mundy's Mill High School. The next Saturday, it will be available at North Clayton Middle School. Come out, bring yourself, bring your family, bring your child, bring your community. Let's get this vaccine so that we can get back to hopefully some sense of normalcy, that we continue to educate ourselves around the vaccine and the safety there. That it's okay. It really is okay. It's safe. I have the vaccine. My grandson that's 12 years old has the vaccine. and he is able to participate in sports, and we don't have those concerns around, hopefully, the spread of COVID-19. But we need you to engage around these opportunities. We will be offering testing in the schools every day by August 30th. Every school, every day. This is exciting. And guess what? We'll be offering the vaccine at the school beginning August 30th. Sign your child up. Give them consent. Our nurses are ready. Our partners are ready. We are here to make it happen for our Clayton County community. So this is what we have going on. Although these are tough times, it's exciting times because we have an opportunity to change our community, to change the trajectory that this COVID-19 is going in. So thank you for this opportunity, Ms. Bowles, Board Member Bowles, and to our leaders at our various schools. They have just engaged every opportunity that we have had in our community around testing especially. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Collier, not only for this update, but for sticking around for questions, because, you know, this is a community conversation, and I'm hoping we have some dialogue. So one of the first things I want to say is I share your deep passion and encouragement for making sure our community members get vaccinated. All that Dr. Collier said, I also can attest to. I am vaccinated. We encourage our staff to get vaccinated. Families, we need all of your support. With that, Dr. Collier, some of our questions have been from those apprehensive neighbors of ours, right? And so right now, I want to know what you tell the community members who say, hey, we heard the data you just said about the ratio of vaccinated to unvaccinated, whether it be teachers, students, et cetera. But you also said, hey guys, it's safe at Clayton County Public Schools. And so I would love to hear a little bit about where your confidence comes from. I've heard us rattle off all the things we do, and there's such an extensive list. Also, Dr. Collier, are you the person who wakes up and goes to sleep making these decisions by yourself? Are there any experts involved, or are we just praying about it? I would love for you to talk to some of those who, rightfully so, have doubts and concerns about sending us their most prized possession every day as their students, but also our teachers who are with them all day, every day. What do you say to those folks?
Wow, thank you so much. And that's an awesome question, because guess what? I was not a science major in college, but I have connected myself with individuals, experts in the field, our health district epidemiologists, our chief medical officer for Clayton County through the Clayton County Fire and Emergency are the individuals that we communicate and consult with that lead our efforts around the vaccine, that help lead our efforts around testing. We partner with ID Molecular Lab. It is an African-American male-ran lab in Atlanta that's here working with us during the testing. They have experts from Morehouse School of Medicine that work with them. Our chief medical officer is a Morehouse School of Medicine graduate too as well. So it's about individuals that are familiar with the makeup of our community and have passion for our community. And so when we talk about the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID-19, but it builds a wall of protection so that you won't be as sick, especially with this Delta variant. I think all scientists, all medical professionals will say that. We can't say you're not going to get COVID, but what we can do is help you build a wall of protection. It's like getting the flu shot every year. Can't guarantee you're not going to get flu, but you take the steps necessary to help you keep from being really sick with the flu. And so that's what my level of confidence, and I still, even having had the vaccine, I'm still taking my vitamins. I wear my mask every day because I know that it is still one of those mitigation strategies, those key strategies to help protect me. So once I got the vaccine, I didn't drop my mask. I still wear my mask every day. And I sit in a space every day with nurses that all of us, 100%, have had the vaccine. But we've got to still practice those key mitigation strategies to keep ourselves safe.
Thank you so much, Dr. Collier. It takes a lot of courage being in the hot seat. So thank you for engaging with us on this. Masks are required in Clayton County Public Schools, but despite our mitigation and our best efforts, I just want to name the fact that this is scary and big and nerve-wracking for all of us. And that's natural and normal because we're humans. And your voices are really important. I just am glad that the community has the opportunity to see not only what we go through to make these decisions, but also I think you were right to highlight who the people are, and knowing that it's folks who care about our community and in some cases look like us is important to build trust throughout this whole process. So thanks for sharing a little bit about the vendors we're using and the protocols in place. I've got a question to start off, and then we'll transition from you, Dr. Collier. But I think while you're on the microphone, one of the questions is, could you please explain the quarantine process? So we know we're doing some stuff from the buses to dismissal, but when there's a young man or young woman in our care who experiences something, or a teacher who notices what could be cause for concern, could you please walk us through what the district's vision is should happen? And I distinguish by the district's vision because we know with over 80 campuses, this is going to look different place to place, unfortunately, and we've got holes to improve. But what is the district's plan for when this happens?
And I think it's exciting that you said the district's plan, because the district plan is really intermingled with the school's plan, because not only do we have a district response team, we have school level response teams, and we work together when there is a positive case that is at a school. And while it might be different from school to schools, we have some standard protocols that we are following whenever there is a positive case in the school, and making decisions about who should isolate and who should quarantine. Isolation is for those individuals that have the virus in their body. Someone who's tested positive for COVID-19 has to isolate. That means you have to be removed completely from the environment. Quarantine is when you have been in contact or exposed to someone that has the active virus in their system. And so when you quarantine, what you're doing is that you're removing yourself and you're starting to monitor your status for symptoms to determine whether or not your being in contact with that positive case might cause you to become positive. So when we make decisions around quarantine, there are a number of factors that we look at. Number one, we use the guidance from the CDC and the Department of Public Health around social distancing. We look at the child that's positive. We look at those individuals that might sit around that child, whether or not those mitigation strategies are in place, like plexiglass, like mask wearing, to drive our decision as to whether or not those individuals that sit around that child might need to quarantine. Quarantine guidance is set by the CDC. If that child is in close contact or deemed in close contact, then they have to quarantine. They have to quarantine for possibly 10 days, but they can test out of quarantine. After 3 to 5 days, you can get a COVID test. If that test is negative, then within 7 days, you can be back in school or at work. But guess what? If you have the vaccine, you're not experiencing any symptoms, you don't have to quarantine. You keep going with your activities. You remain in school. You remain at work. You continue to play sports. So it's that you see how important, what role this vaccine can play in decision-making around quarantine. So we follow the quarantine guidance that's set by the CDC that says, if this occurs, then this has to happen. If you are even if you have the vaccine and you have symptoms, you have to quarantine. If you don't have symptoms, you don't have to quarantine.
I think that's a pretty eloquent summary, Dr. Collier. I noticed you came back on camera, Mr. Townsend, and Mr. Jordan was nodding throughout some of your explanation. And I'd just love to hear from either or both of you about what this looks like on your campus and how and why you feel confident about the path forward when it comes to the mitigation strategies for COVID.
Well, Ms. Bowles, this is something that we're going to deal with every day. It's part of everyday life now. One thing that I do appreciate is that our staff and our students are buying into everything that we need to do. So when the case comes, we got our strike team ready to go. We identify the positive case. We identify the students who are possibly exposed. We get the emails out. We get the calls out. We communicate with the parents. We send letters home. I've had opportunity to do my fair share, but the process really seems to be streamlined, seems to be working very well at Mundy's Mill High School, and myself and the staff is very comfortable about what's going on when we have to deal with a positive case.
Absolutely. I will concur with Mr. Townsend and even compound on that. I believe that the district has an excellent method in place as it relates to dealing with COVID-19, doing our best to keeping our students safe, while at the same time putting them in a position where they can still maximize on their learning. Just to kind of give you a picture of the local process at Lovejoy High School, if indeed we do receive notification that there is a positive COVID-19 test in the building, the parent reports that to the school level to any administrator. We then notify our own local COVID response team. We send that information to our area superintendent, who's Dr. Douglas Hendricks Sr. He then coordinates with the health team, and then the contact tracing is done by our district contract tracing team in collaboration with our local COVID response team. But one of the things that I believe that is kind of cutting edge about what Clayton does is there's what we call at Lovejoy, we call it the box theory. Pretty much every teacher in the building has a sitting chart. They identify where that positive case was sitting, and then the students that are in the immediate box around them will go into either isolation or quarantine. And so what that does is that takes maybe about 5 or 6 students in the event there is a positive case out of that classroom. But because our district learned this past year, we became heavily baptized in virtual learning. We knew that coming into this school year that we needed to be ready to pivot at any point to virtual learning. So within our own local virtual academy, those students that are either in isolation or quarantine receive immediate access to the virtual curriculum. So if I'm a student and I'm at home and my symptoms are either mild or I'm asymptomatic, I'm able to not skip a beat as it relates to my learning. I don't have to be marked absent from class. I don't have to miss any assignments. I don't have to miss any tests or quizzes because I still have access to the curriculum. And that is strictly because of the phenomenal plan that was come up with at the district level.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jordan and Mr. Townsend. And again, thank you, Dr. Collier. I think, we can all admit this is the first pandemic for all of us, and we're all doing our best and going one day at a time. So for those of you within the sound of our voice, I hope you learned something or got some of your questions answered. And if you have lingering questions, drop it in the chat, send us an email, and we'll do what we can to improve, because we know there is room for improvement. Not only from our mitigation strategies, but also virtual learning. There's going to be hiccups and growing pains, and we just ask that you walk with us as we do this. I think I feel good about transitioning to some questions we received throughout the registration process. Dr. Carter, please let me know if there are additional questions that we can take a stab at. But for now, I wanted to answer a couple I have pulled up here. I've received some questions from community members asking about desk shields and making sure that we get our classroom set up appropriately. So you are right to know that K through sixth grade desk shields are to be provided one-to-one. And if that's not the case where you are, please know that more desk shields have been ordered and are on the way. For our middle schools, desk shields are supposed to be allocated every other. And again, if that is not the case for you personally, please reach out and let us know. But do know we have not forgotten about you. And if you're in high school, get vaccinated and reach out if you don't have a mask or don't have your face shield or are missing some of the equipment you need. I see our incredible superintendent, Dr. Simpson, just came on the camera. So would you please update us if you have anything to add about desk shields, face shields, or anything the incredible principals have shared about our COVID process?
No, other than, well, thank you first for the opportunity. No, you spelled it out. I mean, very, very clearly. Everything that you shared, the desk shields that we've guaranteed that will be in the buildings are there, and just as you described them, how they are being used in the middle and high schools, we have the appropriate PPEs. That's not an issue. Students that don't have a mask, we give them a mask. We've equipped the bus drivers with masks. And the principals are following the guidance of Dr. Collier in assistance with our health department officials as they navigate and maneuver through whether students need to be quarantined, staff and or students, and then whether we need to shut down a classroom, hallway, building. And so it's a great collaboration that is ongoing every day. As Mr. Townsend stated, it evolves every day. We're faced with a different dilemma, but ultimately our goal is to make sure that we keep children and staff safe. And then we provide the best of an educational opportunity that we can. And so we come to work with those two things at the impetus. That's our goal every single day. And I would say we do it to the very, very best of our ability on some days. And then there might be others where we're not as good at it, depending on, how much staff is involved and or engaged in time we're having to spend, mitigating COVID. And so sometimes that can become overwhelming, but that doesn't detract from the goal. The goal is every day to make sure that we're safe and we provide our children and our staff with an educational opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Simpson. Dr. Hendricks, I see you too, and I want to give you an opportunity to lift your voice. Before you do, I would love to place this question, and maybe as you speak, you can intertwine the answer or pass the ball if you need to. But we've got a question here that asks, in lieu of all the strategies and mitigation efforts, how is contact tracing done in middle and or high school while changing classes? The writer suggests that should be a probably like hectic time in a school day. And so how is it possible that we can keep each other safe during that time? So is anything different happening through class changes, or what was the vision or plan there? And Dr. Hendricks, if you were going to say something else that was not related to class changes, we'd love to hear that too.
Well, as it relates to contact tracing, we try to leave all of that at a focal point. And that's Dr. Collier, because she has the most experience in terms of working with the epidemiologists and talking to those individuals. I can tell you this, we try to move students in a way that we can keep up with who they're around at all times. And we do that to the best of our ability, but it's very difficult. I mean, it is a school and there are times that students move. But when we do contact trace, and I hope I'm not getting too far into your business, Dr. Collier, and your contact. I feel like I know a lot because I talk to you a lot. You talk to all of us a lot and guide us. But we try to make sure that we follow their footsteps, talk to the individuals that they talk to. And so it's just, and a lot of that is done at the school level, to be quite honest. Principals and their administrative teams, their teachers, they work as a team to kind of follow the students' footsteps when we have to go back and see who they may have talked to. The only thing that I would add outside of that, because I think Dr. Simpson, the principals, yourself, Dr. Collier, have done a wonderful job, is that we're very appreciative of the community's understanding. These are very difficult times. They're unprecedented. And a lot of what we are doing is beyond difficult. And the people who are doing this work are who we call the willing. They're the people who are standing up and standing in the gap and doing their best to make sure children have a quality education. But even before that, they're trying to make sure that they're safe and that they return to their parents the way they were sent to us. And so I'm just very proud to be a part of this organization. I'm so thankful for the support of you and our board. I'm so thankful for the leadership of the gentlemen you have here who are representative of all of our principals and all of our assistant principals. And I'm very thankful to be a part of a district team who has great forethought and is trying to work through a very difficult situation. And so I don't know if I fully answered the contact tracing question. I can tell you it's a joint effort to try to find out who students have been around. It becomes a little more technical when they're in the classroom, and that's a little easier to trace and on the bus. But as they walk through the hallways, I would have to defer on that. But I can tell you that schools work actively always to try to see who students have been around because we want to protect everybody.
Thank
And
you.
I'll jump, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Bowles, but I'll jump in support of what Dr. Hendricks said. One of the things we want to keep in mind about contact tracing is that to be deemed close contact, you have to have had contact for 15 minutes or greater with that person to be deemed a close contact. So when you're passing in the hallways, you're just passing. So when we interview during contact tracing, we do ask the child, tell us who you stopped and talked to, sat with in lunch, sat with on the bus, to help us kind of filter out who else outside of that box might have been close contact. But simply passing in the hall would not deem a close contact. That's why teachers, if they moving around the classroom and they're not standing and hovering, may not be a close contact with a positive case in their classroom, but they can still monitor and walk around and not hover. If you hover for a period of time, then you might be a close contact. And for some of our teachers, it's necessary that they are hands-on and they hover, especially with our younger children. But those are some of the things that we look at when we talk about close contact.
Ms. Bowles, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
For some reason, folks, but I also want to give applaud our students because even though we do the 4 round, they're concerned about their friends. They'd be like, well, you know what? I sat next to such and such at lunch. I was here and I know I spent this time. So they understand the importance of what's going on, and they not only care about their well-being, but also the well-being of everyone around them. So I really want to applaud our students for taking a great step in assisting all of us and making sure everyone in the building is safe.
And I also applaud our parents because, our parents are calling us and letting us know that my child tested positive, my child is sick. And that's so key in us keeping our schools safe, is that they are disclosing the information. And that's what we need them to do. So I applaud our community just for keeping us informed when a child is sick or when someone tests positive for COVID. We don't have to find them, they find us.
Ms. Bowles,
awesome.
Can you hear me?
I can, Madam Chair.
Okay, this is your meet and greet, but I'm gonna have to jump in here and say something on behalf of the mighty, mighty North Clayton Eagles, because y'all shaking your head down on that end of the county with those Wildcats and the Tigers, but up here on the north end of the county, I've heard some good things about how the Eagles operate in their school. As a matter of fact, some of the students are saying that they might go virtual because they thought they were going to socialize in the cafeteria, because when they are dismissed, they are not dismissed by bells. I talked to their athletic director, and he said that they are dismissed one grade level at a time. They don't use lockers. They have a certain amount of time to get into their classrooms. They walk in a line to the cafeteria. They keep their mask over their noses, and they get their lunch. And I think they even have lunch down to a science, that they can get through the cafeteria within a certain amount of time, and then they go back to their classrooms. And as all the other principals have mentioned, and the area superintendents, that they have seating charts, all of that type of stuff. And as Dr. Collier said, they are very concerned about one another. So they do, take it upon themselves. I'm so proud of the fact that the Wildcats and that the Tigers are going to, go ahead and and get vaccinated, because I'm gonna tell you, last year
Thank you, Madam Chair.
and the Wildcats know that I'm the #1 football fan for all of the teams.
Yes, you
And
are.
last year I didn't even want them to play football last year, but the students I've met with convinced me. So they are doing their job. And I'm gonna shut up. I see you telling me, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm gone.
Okay, I'm glad, I love you and I love that we do this. Okay, so we have learned so much. And I think, every contribution has been valuable, from the board to our principals, to Dr. Collier, to our area and deputy superintendents. I hope you can see the collaboration that is at play to keep all of you and all of your learners and all of your most prized possessions safe. So thank you really for all of your voices. Let's try in our last 15 minutes together to tackle just a few more questions. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for my production skills right now, because I'm taking questions from Zoom, Instagram, Facebook, and I'm trying to just, shuffle. So if you feel unheard or unseen, please charge it to my head and not my heart. I'm trying to get to you. Let's see. We have some commentary or questions about, which one will I take next? We talked about virtual learning. How is recess happening? We may have some folks who don't know that because you are our high school principals, but do our pre-K through third grade scholars have the opportunity to learn through play or get their wiggles out? And if so, how are we protecting our youngest learners, who probably are just a little more fidgety than our older folks? That could be for you, Dr. Collier, Dr. Hendricks, or Dr. Simpson, if you have some insight into elementary school day-to-day.
Well, actually, that's probably one of the better times of the day, particularly when you want to physically distance. But because you're outside, obviously, you stand a better chance at, or a lesser chance of transmitting anything. I've been at schools and seen students or children outside playing, and I'm telling you, it's a wonderful thing, because we've missed the opportunity to see that for a little bit over a year. As a matter of fact, I'd encourage a couple of the principals to start out the school year with a field day, just so the students can have the opportunity to learn what it's like to play again. And some took me up on that, but no, that is obviously the social distancing measures that are expected to be in place in the practice through the building. It's a little bit expansive outside, because you do have the benefit of being outdoors. Teachers are still there monitoring. The PE teachers are there monitoring to make sure that there is no close hand-to-hand contact. But students appear to be having a ball when they're outside and look very, very much forward to it. So it didn't seem to marginalize any of their activities from what I've seen. It looks like PE is normal. They still have masks on, and they're just playing and having fun as we used to recall from the days of going outside and looking forward to it. And it's just a great experience.
And the only thing we just encourage them to do is, prior to play, sanitizing, washing hands, and when they finish play, to sanitize and wash those hands. And they're having a ball, and they're able to at times drop their mask outside. Some of our children have become so accustomed to wearing masks that it just simply does not bother them at all. But if they need to drop their mask, that's a great time to do it, to get some fresh air, to get some vitamin D, which is so important, and just be children.
Love that. Beautiful answers. I've got another question here from, we protect student identity and all elements of confidentiality. So I'm reading this and editing it at the same time. But I'd love to hear anything that we can share for parents of our most exceptional scholars. We know that we've got some bus challenges, and that not only is it happening in Clayton County, but there are nationwide bus driver shortages, and that impacts our scholars in many ways. And so we've got delays, we've got all types of things going on. But for our exceptional scholars, for whom transportation is even more challenging. Is there any insight or updates about what we're doing to make sure they either get from their car to their classroom or get picked up at the bus stop? Any updates overall on the exceptional students department?
Well, if Mr. Jordan or Mr. Townsend, because that's a day-to-day operational activity that, while they may not be on the bus lane every single day, they've seen and they've walked that walk every day. I'd ask either one of them to just explain what that process is like from the time one of those buses enter to the bus lane. If either one of you all would you please describe that? Mr. Jordan or Mr. Townsend?
Hey, Doc. Yeah. So, as you know, with our exceptional students, those are the classrooms that have the PPEs. So those classrooms are much smaller. They have the shields, and they enter a separate door at Mundy's Mill High School. Our exceptional students, the ones in the wheelchairs, are the ones who need the extra help. They do enter a completely separate door. So they're much further away from everything that goes on. That's as far as entry in the morning and at dismissal. When we have dismissal in the afternoon, our regular population is much further away and don't even come in contact with that group when they dismiss. They dismiss before everybody. So those students that are in wheelchairs and need that extra help are already distanced on the bus lane, in the bus lane, much further away from everybody else. And of course, the tracing be a lot easier because quite often it's not more than 2 or 3 kids on that particular bus if they're not being driven by their family.
And Ms. Bowles, just know that that's supported with almost one-on-one attention.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your contributions to that answer. I hope you learned something, listener who asked that question. 9 minutes left. Let's see, what are we gonna do? Okay, I've got a District 1 question. It is more relevant to what I call the South Side of the South Side. And so the Panhandle area, which is where we are, is being blessed by new buildings and new schools and all the razzle dazzle. And for that, we are happy. And we are faced with the consequences on the streets, intersections, roadways, etc. Because our cute little community was initially placed with 2-lane roads, right? And so now that we're growing, we're going to need to grow in other ways. And so it's a real pain point on the South Side of the South Side. And I don't know who of you has a response or an answer, but we definitely have some residents who are concerned about whose job is it to widen these roads. Where do we get the lanes from? Like, where's the lane store to just buy a new lane? Is that the county? Is it the Board of Education? We are unincorporated down here, right? So we don't necessarily have a city council. We have a commissioner. And so there's just so many questions. What insight or updates do we have when it comes to zoning or improvements on that side? I also want to give a quick shout out to our incredible superintendent, Dr. Beasley, who has joined us. He is on the move, as you can imagine, but he's listening. And so if you have anything to contribute, we welcome your voice and insight right now as well. Thanks for being here.
Hey there. Good to see you all. I've been listening. I'll say the Ronick, I don't think Ronick's on and we can get a definitive answer from him, but I think the county has that on their list of things to do. It's just a matter of time. It seems that we were able to get the school built before they were able to get the road completed. But I want to say the county has that on its list to get done, Ms. Bowles.
Thank you, Dr. Beasley. That will be music to the ears of my constituents in District 1. We appreciate that update, and we appreciate you for being here. You all, that I think is the extent of the questions I can see. If I am incorrect, or if anyone sees anything where you are, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, if you see a question that you'd like to lift or share, please let me know. I will also share, you're getting a lot of love in the comments. I'm trying to read and catch up on the questions, but I want to give a quick round of affirmations to all the superintendents on the call, the incredible principals on the call. You all are in the trenches. You have long days and you could have been doing anything anywhere, but here you are with us. So thanks for taking a minute out of your busy lives to inform our community. They appreciate it, and I am also appreciative. Any final thoughts or comments? One of my favorite things to do is give people minutes back. So it is 5:54, and if you want 6 minutes back in this hour, you can have it unless there's any final thoughts or questions. I see smiles. I don't see unmuted. So yeah, I feel like this is a great place to end. I want to thank you on behalf of myself, Ms. Bowles, the school board member in District 1, on behalf of our constituents in District 1, and on behalf of Clayton County Public Schools and the Board of Education. Thank you so much for joining what will be a continued series of community conversations. I hope you left more enlightened than you came. And if you need us, you know where to find us. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowles.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your evening.
Thank you.